God bless everyone this morning. 1 Samuel chapter 12. Going to be continuing. I'm enjoying the book of Samuel. It's a very good book, brothers. Some good stuff in it. Here now in chapter 12 we see that after the great victory over the Ammonites, that the people are now looking for the king. Saul is going to lead them. Samuel has judged Israel all his life, but now they have a king. Now a king has been raised up. And Samuel here shows, the character of a true man of God. He's willing to step aside and let the younger man begin to do a work. He knows his time is up. He's not going to delay their passing the work to the next person, but he's going to allow Saul to step in. And we see that Samuel doesn't even allow his sons to be leading the country, but they're now part of the people with him. They're with them. And Saul is going to lead. And brothers, it's good that men step aside and allow men to come through to keep refreshing. It's good, as long as they're godly men and the good men. And it's good, that's what should be done. But what Samuel does here is he gives them a farewell speech. First he explains how he's took note, he's cheated them of note, he's took nothing from them, he owes them nothing. And then he begins to remind them the remembrance from the time of Exodus, from the time they was in slavery, but they were set free. How God took them out of the land of Egypt. How God, took them over the Red Sea. How God, provided for them in the wilderness. All the great things that God done, took them into the promised land. And time again, Israel failed God. They do something and God would allow something to happen to them because they forgot God. And God would have to do something so the people would repent and turn back to God. And what he's speaking to them about is the righteous acts of the Lord and what he has done. And what he has done for them. And he tells them, he says, now then, stand still and see the great things the Lord is about to do before your eyes. And he said, it's not wheat harvest now, but I will call the Lord to send thunder and rain. And you will realize what an evil thing you did in the eyes of the Lord when you asked for a king, because the Lord was their king. But they wanted a fleshly king for fleshly reasons, for fleshly desires. They wanted a king to be like everyone else when they should have been different. And, it was always God's plan that there was going to be a king in Israel. It was always the plan. God knew that. It was prophesied in Deuteronomy that Israel would have a king way before this. But the fact is they wanted to be like the other nations. And Samuel tells them, he says, look, despite all what you have done, despite how many times you've grumbled and complained and turned away from the Lord up to this point, the Lord has been gracious. The Lord has been merciful. The Lord has took Israel back. How many times they worship false gods, false idols. They turned their back on God. But God still took them back. And here he says, Samuel replied, don't be afraid. You have done all this evil, yet do not turn away from the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart. Don't turn away after useless idols. They can do no good, nor can they rescue you. See, when they needed rescuing from Egypt, idols could not do any good. Idols could not do any good. When they needed to get across the Red Sea, the idols could not do any good. When they needed delivering from their enemies, the idols were no good. And this is what he was saying. It's the Lord that's done all these righteous acts. It's the Lord that's brought you this far. It's the Lord that rescues you. It's the Lord's battle. But he said, for the Lord's sake of his great name, the Lord will not reject his people, because the Lord was pleased to make you his own. And then Samuel prays for them. And he said, I will teach you the way that is good and right. We see Samuel is Not about just to go away and leave the people, but he's still going to be there to teach the people. But he said this, be sure to fear the Lord and serve him faithfully with all your heart. Consider what great things he has done for you. Yet if you persist in doing evil, both you and your king will perish. It's a warning to the people here. And you know, brothers, we fear God. All of our service we give to God, all of our obedience to God, all of our love to God should be put in this context. We do it because of the great things that he has done for us. Don't lose sight this morning of the great things that the Lord has done for you. The battles that the Lord has brought you through, the hard times that the Lord has brought you through, the trials, the heartbreak, the things that God has brought you through, and today you still stand, you're here because you stand by the power and the strength of God. The sin that you fail with, the battles that you face in your life, the battles against the enemy, the battles against the flesh, the battles against life and its problems. How many times you've been in a situation where you've been in a storm and it's been too hard or seems too big, but God has always rescued you. God has always brought you through. God is always there. Just like Israel. From the time Samuel is studying now, this present time, as we're reading this, back to Exodus, is reminding them all of what they've done. The deliverance that God has brought them through. The provision that God has provided for them. The battles that the Lord has won. The land that the Lord has given them. You know, everything the Lord has done, he does for us today. Remember that. It's the Lord who provides. It's the Lord that, you know, fights our battles. It's the Lord that delivers. And you know, brothers, consider how great things that the Lord has done for me and you. Consider the great things that he's done for me and you. That Jesus Christ would come to this earth as a baby, would live a sinless life, then would be taken to the cross by fallen, sinful men, nailed to a cross. You know, stakes pushed into his arm and feet. You know, a crown of thorns pushed into his head. Brothers, you know, we can talk about it, but we just can't begin how bad of a and painful of a death that Jesus went through. Stripped before his own mother, beaten, his beard pulled from his face, his back ripped open like a plough field, and the Lord did all that for me and you. Consider this, brothers, this morning. What great things the Lord has done for me and you. When he went to that cross for me and you. Just consider that. All the battles, all the trials, all the storms, all the things that God has brought us through in our life. Everything that got us here, and we're still here today. We're still standing today, and we can only stand today because of what the Lord has done. I can only stand here today, brothers. I've been through many battles. I've been through hard times. I've battled many things in my life, and I still do now. I still do. But I know that the Lord does great things. You know what Samuel said? Stand still and see this great thing the Lord is about to do before your eyes. I know that the Lord is about to do great things. I know that. But I never lose the hope and remember what the Lord has done for me and the promises in God's word. I was healed of cancer, and I'll never forget that. The great things that the Lord has done for me. The Lord's brought me through many battles I've had against the enemy. Sin that I battled within my life, certain things God has brought me through. But the most important thing that Jesus Christ did for me was when he went to the cross. And he hung on that cross for me. He paid a debt that I could never pay. And this morning, brothers, you know, we can be in battles, we can be in storms, we can be battling sin, we can be battling this flesh, we can be going against spiritual attacks. We maybe feel down, we feel depressed. I don't know how people feel. Maybe suicidal thoughts. Maybe we feel like enough's enough. Maybe we feel like we can't go anymore. Life's problems get too big. Then, brothers, I would say this. Consider the great things that the Lord has done for you and the great things that he is going to do in the future. But just be reminded, maybe you feel a bit down today, just be reminded the great things that the Lord has done for you. That the Lord will bring you through the battles, the trials, the storms. The Lord will bring you through all these things. Just remember the great things, the great gift of salvation, what Christ actually went through for you. Don't lose sight of the things that the Lord has done for you. That's what I would say this morning. And for myself, not to lose sight of the things that the Lord has done, the great things that the Lord has done. Brothers, if he never done another thing again, going to the cross was enough what he done for me and you. But God has done so many things that I could stand here all day and I could share with you all day the things that God has done. And I know God is going to continue to do great things. But just remember that today. Maybe you're in a battle. Maybe you're going through something. Maybe you feel like giving up. Then just be reminded. The Israelites felt like this. The Israelites faced battles. They felt across the Red Sea that, didn't seem impossible. There was no way, but God made a way. When they were starving and hungry and thirsty in the wilderness, God provided food for them. When they come against enemies that they couldn't defeat, God defeated them. And we need to remember this morning, God is still the same today, yesterday and tomorrow. He never changes. The things he did for his people then, he does for his people now. God can still part them seas in our life. He can still move them mountains. He can still take us through them storms. He can still fight the battles. He can give us the power to overcome. Consider the great things that the Lord has done for you today. God bless.